Hi, this is Pete with Autoptic. Today I'm going to show you how to letter your comics the old-fashioned way using a lettering guide, a T-square, and a triangle. Let's get started. Okay, so this is what the lettering guide actually looks like. It can be kind of confusing if you don't really know what you're looking at or how to use it, but it's really a pretty simple tool. So you notice that mine is taped. That's because there is a wheel here that rotates that allows you to change the height of your lettering. So I just tape it in place because I want to use the same lettering size every time. I recommend just taping it in place. When I flip it over, you can see, I think on camera, yeah, you can kind of see there's some numbers down here. When you're looking at yours in person, you'll see there's a line down the middle here, and then there's a set of numbers on the bottom and a set of numbers on the top. And then I have mine set to about 3 2/3. I got that number after experimenting for a while and being kind of frustrated with my lettering not looking like, like it looks in a comic book, in a professional comic book. So I eventually just DM'd Rick Parker, who worked for Marvel in like the 70s and 80s and lettered a bunch of Spider-Man and stuff like that. And he told me that this is the size that he lettered his stuff at. So, when in doubt, I guess just look for a primary source. Some of this stuff can be pretty difficult to Google. So let's look at how this thing actually works. I have taped down and squared already a sheet of scrap paper, so that's what we're going to be doing the demo on. So I'm just going to grab my triangle, and the lettering guide is just going to sit right on top, and we're just going to pull it back and forth as we draw. So the way we're going to draw with the lettering guide, it's going to be using this middle set of holes here, and then we're going to go first hole, third hole, fourth hole, sixth hole, seventh hole, ninth hole, 10th hole. So basically we're going first one, skip one, then we go back to back, skip one, back to back, skip one, back to back. If that's a little bit confusing right now, we'll just draw some and then it should get clearer. But when we skip one, that's going to be the space that we draw our letters in. And then when we draw back to back, that's going to be a gutter in between each row of letters. That's going to make this look nice and consistent. So let's start drawing. You need a nice sharp pencil. These holes are kind of small, and that's just going to help you get your most consistent guide here. But I like to go kind of straight in. I feel like it gives me, you don't want to put like a ton of pressure on your guide as you pull it across the page. You can sort of make it skip, or if it catches some tape or something, your lettering guide can kind of jump on you. Or, if you're really pulling down on it, you can even like make your triangle slip under your hand. And just if you're using a lot of pressure, it's really easy to make a mistake. So I like to try to have a nice light hand with a sharp pencil, and that has been how I've gotten my most consistent guides drawn. So first hole, and we're just gonna pull it across the page here, and then we're skipping the next one and going to the third hole. So that is the space that we're going to be actually drawing our letters. Fourth hole now, we're drawing our gutter. And we've got one gutter down, so it's time to draw another space for letters. Okay, time for another gutter, so that will be the next one. And skip a hole. draw our final gutter here. So we have drawn one full row of the guide here. But we've only got 1, 2, 3 lines for text here. So often you're going to need more than 3 lines of text on your comic pages. So we're just going to drop our triangle down a bit and then try to center, or maybe even kind of towards the bottom of the hole, because we tend to sort of draw on the bottom edge here. The last line that we drew with the top hole of our lettering guide. And then we're going to go back to that third hole again because we need a space for our letters. So we've got a nice chunk here. That should be 6 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 lines of dialogue. So then, like I said, we'll just draw our letters in the space between. Okay, so yep, we just write our letters in the big space. Don't write your letters in the small space, and you should get pretty nice even lettering that way. So let's say that I made a spelling mistake in here. That is where your erasing guide comes in. And this is really why I recommended getting an electric eraser. So if we try to erase our lettering without a guide, it's very, very easy to lose the guidelines you drew. Now that's a problem, because if you just made a spelling mistake and you need to put a new word down there, you don't have a guide to get that uniform height anymore. So if we grab our erasing guide, this middle line on mine gives me about the top and bottom of each letter. We'll see. Oh, it's totally dead now. Whoops. There it goes. So now I can just kind of take this and pull it through. And again, if this were full battery, then it would be looking a little better. But just trust me, it's a nice tool. If you've drawn by hand a lot, you'll enjoy having one. It seems like a tool not a lot of people use yet. But your guidelines are there, and you shouldn't confuse yourself too much when you letter over it. And again, you know, if you have a stronger eraser, then this should erase a little bit cleaner. So the reason that I recommend using the electric eraser too is because when you take a traditional eraser and you try to do the same job, you tend to wiggle a little bit. This is such a slow and tedious process. Kind of anything that you can do to save yourself some time is helpful. So hopefully that has cleared up how the lettering guide works a little bit. It's a pretty tedious tool, but it's a pretty simple one once you get the hang of it. Okay.